This is a Dogs Train Home podcast, stories of second chances, one person and one dog at a time. And I'm your host, Vix Lyttle.
When they're brand new, I love smelling the books. And then even when they're worn, I love smelling the books.
Or are you if you're reading them, if you get to a page, do you stop or do you doggy turn? Do you like doggy ear it?
No. What I do,
I'm like blasphemy. I doggy turn. I'll bend up books. I like them worn.
I'll fold them up.
I fold them up too. I like them like.
I do notes. I do footnotes.
Oh, you write in them as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
But do you keep them all night flush?
Yeah.
Like this?
As best I
I'm
as
the
best-
opposite. I'm
I
break the spine.
I'll stick a leaf of something in it.
Oh yeah, like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
You won't bend it.
Yeah.
I'll bend it.
I'll bend it,
Yeah.
Oh.
Especially when I'm laying there and trying to get comfortable and read.
Yeah.
You remember them days?
Yeah.
Lay there, bend it. My books would be tore up, and people used to get on me about that. Like, bro, don't treat my books like you do yours.
Some people are like that. See, me and you have been fine.
But reading who we are marks up the book.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like eventually having a friendship or a relationship, people are like, "Oh, this is Melvin's book." Wow, how do you know? Oh, because of the way
We've got me. That would be mine. Whose is this? It's all bent. I'm teaching my kid to do it without realizing. So he wanted to take a book in school the other day. I was like, "Oh, this is where you find this joke," and I could bend the page. Now you just open it, and now you can find it.
now you can find it, and whatever method makes sense to the individual's way of looking at life, that's the way it's gonna work. And I know that's the way it is for me. And like for instance,
Give me 1 second. Absolutely. Hello? All right, fine.
Business never stops.
never.
Yeah, I know for sure. And I've been putting on my phone a special ring when it's outside of the norm.
Mm.
Okay.
So I'm trying to now change my number where I have 2 numbers on the same phone. One is a business where it goes through, and then the regular is just my personal numbers.
We won't be able to get over it.
I like that.
No,
Yes,
We'll bring you back.
we used to, for a while, I was thinking, I guess I can phone. And then I said, no, I'm just going to keep this phone. And my phone number is going to default to my business number, right?
Mhm.
And then months go by and came in, we did the interview, and that came up.
I told you look like a drug dealer.
And she said, man, but there's multiple phones, and it's like a drug dealer. And I said, thank you. Now I'm really not going to think.
no, but we have to for
I don't
business
think people
purposes.
think like that anymore. That was back in the day.
Yeah.
Mode.
Yeah. I understand.
I love fucking with people.
Oh, my goodness, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No, yeah.
Should we jump on into the book thing?
Let's do it.
So I was thinking that we talk about, because we started talking about, and it's come up, I'm not sure if it came up with you, if it's come up a few other times. We're ended up talking about books that help us. So I thought I know you're my book people.
No, for sure. I think it's a great topic.
Yeah.
I think so, too. Yeah.
I thought we'd go through what books and what part of our lives helped us. So who wants to start?
Oh, are we recording already?
We've been recording for the whole time.
Oh, really? Okay.
This is a great system where you can edit after.
I just edit afterwards and I just then cut it out.
Yeah.
But some of the bits that we say off camera are good to go into it.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
I do want to introduce everybody. We can't see little Bentley down here, but
That's cool. Bentley.
I don't feel like Bentley's even going to make it. No one's ever going to know he's down there.
No.
Hey, and this is your training dog?
No,
Or
it's
this is
Melvin.
Melvin? This is your dog?
I just listen to you guys.
This is a little Bentley. This is a little
See
Bentley.
my dog.
Uh,
I try. I pretend.
You know what I would say? I didn't read my first book from cover to cover until I was 22 years old.
Mm.
I had never been a reader.
Mm.
It wasn't something that was advocated in my household. Education for me in my household was more being street smart,
Yeah.
right? My family really didn't see a big, for lack of better words, a big interest in educational since my mom was always the type to say, they don't really teach you nothing that's life worthy,
Yeah.
right? What do they teach? They don't teach you how to balance your account. They don't teach you about saving. Like, what do they really teach you? Algebra. At what point do you need algebra in real life?
I mean, I kind of see a point of it, but
So that was just her take, right? So that was something that I started to take in consideration. Like, school didn't really teach much, you know. But yeah, I was 22 when I read my first book.
What book was it?
It was the Bible.
Oh,
It was the Bible. And what was interesting about it was I had a neighbor.
what was interesting about it is you read it from cover to cover.
Well,
Like, it's not many people in the world that have done that.
and I just, for some reason, I had an interest in understanding what it was talking about because I had heard it throughout my life. The Bible is, and I've always heard people say, read it for yourself.
Yeah.
And I never had. But what happened was I heard my neighbor talking about it, and then he whispered to me, it was like, it was my friend, one of my close friends. He like, bro, I don't even know what I'm talking about. And this dude listening to me. And we laughed. But in my mind, I'm like, I was believing you.
And this was while you were still in prison?
Yeah. When I was in the county jail.
What, were you in solitary or?
I was in what was called high power. Yeah, so I was in solitary confinement to a certain degree. I was put in high power because I had a staff assault. And usually when you do something like that, they take you off for the main line. You get you in a more of a controlled environment.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, once I started to read, I realized that my life would never be the same. Because I was able to be challenged in my thinking without me having anyone to argue with but myself.
Yeah.
Right? When I had conversations with people, I can always rebuttal, cut them off. But reading, I didn't have that luxury. I had
You have to have the, I disagree with this, but hear them out.
You have to hear them out. Right?
Yeah.
And that was something that was life changing because I knew how to drown people out. I knew how to cut off what I didn't want to hear or receive. So even when I didn't understand what I was reading, I would go back and read it over and over to comprehend it. And for me, I think that was what was life changing, right? Being able to have the conversation over. And I got to a point where instead of looking to refute or try to look for contradictions, I started to just weigh and consider.
Yeah.
Right? Does this apply? If it doesn't, let it fly. What does apply? If it does hold true, receive it. And that for me was like.
That's interesting because you kind of need to do that with the Bible anyway, because some of it is man written or being interpreted. So you do have to be like, okay, does that not hold true for me? Okay, I'm not going to disregard the whole thing.
Okay.
I'm just going to disregard that bit because I'm not sure if something in me is saying, I don't know, maybe someone's manipulated that bit, but I'm not going to throw the whole thing out, you know.
And I think that's what helped me become better because what I noticed that as much as it informed me, when I listened to it, it started to transform me. Right? So if
I need you to write a poetry book because you've got.
Yeah.
No, but honestly, that's what it was. I was taking it from a informational,
And that's from listening. You were felt there was moments where you were feeling transformed by the listening.
just and following, right? Because it was a scripture that I ran across that it said, "Be swift to listen, slow to speak, slow to wrath.
Yeah.
For the anger of man does not produce the righteousness of God." So I started to think like, okay, I need to be swift to listen. Okay, I get that. Slow to speak. Okay, I'll stop speaking so much. Slow to wrath. Now I had an anger problem.
Yeah.
So for me, I was like, okay, let's stop. Let's stop getting so angry about everything, right? And then it what really was formative for me was for the anger of man does not produce the righteousness of God. So I studied that for a minute. What is the anger of man? And I started to realize like I justify my anger. One of my favorite Marvel comics was Bruce Banner, Incredible Hulk. And I learned in watching that as a kid, when he got angry, it was okay to act out in violence.
Yeah.
right? So I started thinking anger is a behavior, not an emotion.
Yeah.
When I realized that, no, anger is just that, it's an emotion. It's not a behavior. Just because you're angry doesn't give you the right to snap somebody's neck, to cuss them out. But I didn't understand that because I never knew how to process my feelings.
Yeah.
And when they tell you to be angry but do not sin, that was me realizing that just because I'm angry doesn't give me the right to do something wrong.
Yeah.
That was
That's heavy. That's heavy. Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
never really looked at the Bible as a
Yeah.
self-help book
Yeah.
before,
Yeah.
but I'm starting to
Yeah.
look at it as a
Yeah.
self-help book.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
And a lot of times I think why people are not totally transformed by the Bible is because they don't put it into practicality. Like they don't practice what it is. It's just like something it's a good saying, but then what?
But also, like for me, read I never read the Bible like you. Like you would just go to church and they would tell you certain passages, and then similar to your story of why you turned away from God, it sometimes people won't accept it because they have decided they don't like what Jesus is or what God, because it's had a negative impact on their life. Like for instance, for me, I used to always go to church. I didn't because I got into a bad relationship and I hadn't gone for a long time, and I wanted to go back because once I broke out the relationship, I wanted to go back to that good memories and stuff.
Yeah.
So when I went to go back, I walked into the church and somebody, I was with my mum, I can't even remember the comment, but basically it was like, what are you doing? You've been here, you haven't been here, what are you doing back? It wasn't welcoming.
Wow.
And at that
Okay.
point, I was like, I kind of already blamed God for making me stay with my bad boyfriend because I was like, God put me on this earth to change him. So I was already mad thinking,
Yeah.
but I shouldn't have been because that was me understanding it wrong.
Right.
But that was already in my mindset. And then with this person at the church not being welcoming, I was like, well, screw you. I'm never coming back here. So then I was never going to pick that book up again and read it because it was tainted.
And you know what? To that point, watch this, because this is what really changed my life. So my grandfather had become a believer while I was in prison. He started following the word of God and he started to preach to me while I was in prison. And I thought at first, like, man, this guy is a hypocrite. Where was he when I was young and when I needed him? But then I started to realize that my cousin children, his younger grandkids, his great grandkids, they would admire him. Like 6, 7 years old, I would talk to them. They'd be like, man, my papa picked me up from preschool, from kindergarten. And I'm like, he didn't pick me up from preschool. So then I started to realize, like, why am I looking at what he didn't do opposed to looking at what he is doing?
Yeah.
Right? I said, man, whatever he's doing, I can see the fruits of his labor. Like I can actually see he's becoming a good person. So I told myself, I said, you know what, when my grandfather give me some good advice, I'm gonna hold on to it. Right. So he ended up passing away.
Mm.
But before he passed away, he told his daughter, he said, always love and praise God. That was his like final words before he passed away. And she told me that. And I said, you know what? I told myself whenever he tell me something that I thought was of value, I would honor it. So I told myself out of commemoration for him, I'm gonna just read my Bible every day for 15 minutes. And I done that. And that was in 2012. What ended up happening was 15 minutes a year later turned to 30 minutes.
Yeah.
30 minutes turned into an hour, and then an hour turned into studying. Now I want to do Bible courses because I started to understand what I was reading.
Yeah.
I hadn't read it for any other purpose except for just commemoration of him.
Yeah.
But it's a scripture that it says that the word of God is living and powerful and sharper than any two-edged sword, cutting between the soul and the spirit,
Yeah.
the bone and marrow, and is a discerner of your thoughts and the intentions of your heart. So once I started to read and like, man, this is some powerful stuff. Prayer was the game changer for me. Like people that meditate, I meditated in prayer. Sometimes I would just ask God, man, just give me the peace that surpasses all understanding. That's one of his scriptures. I don't know what that means. What do peace that surpasses all understanding mean? Well, with me, with a life sentence, I started to realize like my peace shouldn't come from outside influences, but my internal peace.
Yeah.
Right? And I have that knowing, reading the word, where I'm gonna go after this. Like this is just a momentary phase of life. You have an eternity to live. What does that look like? So when you're building for your future, I'm not building for retirement. I'm building towards the rest of my life and living. So now I feel empowered,
Yeah.
right? I'm not just confined to this prison. I got somewhere that I'm gonna go after here. So now my mind was, I'm already free.
Yeah.
Even though physically, because you got people that's in bondage mentally. Yeah.
That's what we were talking about.
Right? So I started to say that. And I had people that was going home in 6 months and they like, bro, how do you got a life sentence, but you wake up happy, energetic, focused? And I would just tell them that my peace doesn't come from my surroundings.
Yeah.
You know, my peace comes from what I get from my Heavenly Father. And then they'd be like, well, what is that? And yeah, it's a journey, but it's one that I always tell people, if you really want to find peace, you have to go inside. And it's kind of like really understanding what the word is saying and take it for self-value. Like literally take it for what it says. Don't, because like what you said, all right, I can believe some of it, but not all of it. Me, I was like a kid. I'm gonna believe all of it.
Yeah.
Right? Because I told myself I'd rather live like there's a God and die and find out there isn't one
Yeah.
than live like there isn't a God, die and find out that there is one.
Well, I definitely believe there is a God because you put me on to, what's his name? Joseph Campbell.
Campbell. Yeah. Yeah.
And he kind of thinks like me.
I love
Obviously,
that.
I don't think as well as Joseph Campbell.
No, I love that.
But he's done it. He's done the work for everyone
Mhm.
and gone throughout history and all the religions.
Yeah.
And they're all saying the same thing, which means it had to come from somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we all basically praying to the same thing.
You know that it's what comes up inside of me today is basically like there's something that says like sometimes I hear when people are going to school or when I was going to school or sometimes I hear when people go in business, they say spend time to save time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Learn the rules and then you can break the rules. You learn something, you dive into something and learn it as best to the best of your ability, and then you can start bending things and breaking the rules. What I heard you say, which to me ties it in with the Joseph Campbell sharing of his research, is going, whether it's the Bible or whatever denomination, right? Going into it wholeheartedly, and then coming and analyzing things, assessing things,
Taking what you need.
and then start seeing through trial and error in application, whether it's months or years, of what's actually producing and what is it producing, just like doctrine, but with myself, with my soul. So what's actually having an output that I see that is beneficial, not just to me, but to my environment and those in it. I'm like, oh, that's what Joseph Campbell was talking.
Yeah.
That's what. So I can start like, you know what? I will respect that, but I'm gonna put that to the side. But I'll keep on doing this. Then you know what I mean? And so to me, this has been the interesting part because it's what's enabled me and what works for me. When I started hearing to people like Joseph Campbell talking, I based on my lived experience, I when I would hear him and I hear him, I say to myself, that's true, because my soul has seen it.
Yeah.
My soul has felt it, has touched it, has, whether it's the doorway of something, because in that is the interesting thing that it only comes through the application of what applying the things that I'm understanding, in applying the things that I'm understanding, the experience that has came from that, which is the experiential part of the application of whatever understanding I'm getting from the religion I'm practicing. That is what then ultimately has told me, oh my God, this is real.
Yeah.
You know? So when I hear it now, it's not my understanding now that's telling me that it's real. it's my soul.
Yeah.
Because I've touched it with another part of me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So when I hear you talk and I hear Joseph Campbell talk, I hear I have become very good friends with people that are Muslim, Christian, Jewish,
Yeah.
you know, and which with some in the beginning has maybe been with the intention to convert. And I've told her, you know, watch out because we're going to end up becoming friends the more we talk.
Yeah.
And in these conversations, I hear us saying the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, so no,
But yeah, because I was like, when we first met, I was very like quick to be like, I'm not religious. I don't believe in God. But now we talk and I'm like, but I'm spiritual
Mhm.
and I can link it all. And honestly, I could now, and I think it's more looking for myself, but I could definitely probably walk into a church and feel comfortable. Be like,
And that's one
I
thing.
hear it.
That's one thing that I liked about my relationships with people. They always tell me, "Hey, Melvin, you never try to force your belief on me,"
Yeah.
you know, and I don't, because I realized that I didn't become who I am by somebody forcing their belief on me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't feel it's my place to force anything on anyone.
Yeah.
You know, you arrive at your own truth when it comes to you.
Yeah.
You know, to that point, one of the books that made me really start to deepen my search of truth was Da Vinci Code by Dan Brown.
Oh,
I love the Da Vinci codes.
yeah.
The Da Vinci Code was a powerful read for me because one, what it did was, even though, like I said, the Bible was the first book that I ever read, I still hadn't really understood who Jesus was. I still thought he was kind of like a Santa Claus.
Yeah.
But when I read the Da Vinci Code talked about the facts of Jesus Christ actually being a real person that
Yeah.
actually walked this earth. That changed my whole perspective because when I read that, I'm like, wait, so Jesus is real? He's not this made up?
Yeah.
Because for me, the conception of a virgin being born, I ain't never seen no virgin get
Yeah.
pregnant. So to me, it still was like some fantasy.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean?
A story.
It still was a story. So reading Da Vinci Code made me start deepening my search for truth. Like I wanna dig into
You're more critical.
way more critical.
Yeah.
I
So
love the Da Vinci code.
yeah, Da Vinci Code was fire. It's a tough read if you're not an avid reader. Like for me,
I'm not sure if I've read it. I think no, I audio booked it.
yeah, because
Yeah.
I remember when someone gave it to me, they said, listen, the first 100 pages is gonna make you want to put the book down. But once you get past there, you're gonna be hooked. And they was right. Like 50 pages, I'm like going to sleep and
Yeah.
waking back up and reading. And I'm like, man, this book is
It's the same with most books. It's
I've
a
been
lot of work on.
yeah. I love that book. It's interesting because as a kid, and I wonder how I think that's a lot is like this for many kids, but this is the way it was for me, right? I grew up in South Los Angeles, the South Central, and because of the at 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, I thought that was the world.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the neighborhood I grew up in, I thought that was the world. And if you ask me, oh, life is this way, my limited understanding, like, or where I was grabbing information was limited to tell you what I thought of the world was.
Yeah.
And that came from my surroundings.
Yeah.
And my surroundings was South Central. And so to me, you would tell me, how is life? How is the world? What do you think the world is like? And I would say, very violent.
Yeah.
They just killed somebody down the street the other day. And then, you know what I mean? So I was drawing information from my limited travels in that environment of what I thought the world was like.
Yeah.
And even though I saw things on television, the world to me was outside my front door, you know? And so, when I would hear about Jesus in Catholicism or Christianity, I didn't relate to it.
Yeah.
I didn't connect I didn't see it in my everyday life.
mm-hmm.
It sees like something so distant.
Yeah.
And even when people, like during holidays, Christmas and in Catholicism, there's more holidays that are celebrated. Well, I don't know if that's actually correct, but because I lived in the African American, Mexican American community, in many at that time, many Mexican Americans were heavily Catholic. So in the holidays, I would see the people dressing up, the churches, being decorated. The people, the way they were dressed seemed like eons ago.
Yeah.
I'm like, who dresses like that? I couldn't connect with it, you know? So when I heard the stories, I couldn't connect with them. Not until years later, until when I found myself incarcerated, and I started to read, and I talked with people I was in a cell with or in a yard with about the Bible, and I started to see little how it connected to my life. Like, oh, right here they're saying this, and I can see how it can be applied to my everyday. Then I'm like, oh, this could be a self-help book.
Yeah.
It's alive,
Self-help book.
right?
I feel like someone needs to remarket the word as a self-help book just for the masses.
Yeah, as soon as I started seeing the practical application of it,
Practical application, yeah.
I that's when I was drawn to things, you know.
Yeah.
But before that, I didn't see it. What was like front and center for me was survival. Was it was and survival to me was simple as walking to school.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Right.
where'd you grow up at?
Long Beach, California.
Walking to school was like a small version of Vietnam. You know, like you could get jumped going to school. I could get my backpack taken and swung over into the freeway. You know what I mean? At 8 years old, and you're like, oh my God, my mom just bought me that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get beat up when I get home too. They just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it was like,
Back in the day, your parents let you out more
mhm.
at younger ages. Like,
Oh yeah,
I remember being in a park. I was in elementary school, my friend, because I remember, I don't know if they use this word now, but someone, there was a girl in there, older girl, mouthing off. Obviously, I'm mouthy, so I'm mouthing back. And she said, wait here, I'm going to go get my bread rings. And I'm like, she's saying bread bin. Oh, that's like, is she talking about she's going to go get knives for bread? Like, is she going back to get weapons? So I go home and I'm like, Dad, this girl said she's going to go get some bread rings. She's saying like breather rings. It's like fam. Like, that's why they say fam now. But back when I was younger, they used to say bread rings, but with a different like lingo.
Right.
yeah, yeah.
But it's crazy
Yeah.
how when we were young, it is like survival.
No,
out
totally.
there. So in
Yeah.
a rougher area.
Yeah. This is interesting because before I started to thinking in the framework of gangs, it was like, where do you live? You know, where do you live? Do you live on this side of the freeway? Do you live on that side? Yeah, like where do you live?
Yeah.
And based on where do you live, I can decide whether I like it or not.
Yeah, it's kind of how I used to be in England.
You know, so there's this.
Yeah, territorial, yeah.
So the model is ancient. It is probably as old as humanity. In what's modern is the names. They're like the word gang and these individual things. But the model itself is that how these kids are organizing, whether it's loosely or more structured, is old. You know, it's a lot older than us. But it's interesting. But bringing it back to books. So in that environment, I didn't grow up. How I grew up wasn't necessarily valuing education. It was I was actually from the things that I was told by my parents and my other extended family that were older, because my family came from Mexico, from rural areas in Mexico, and most of them went up maybe to the third, fourth grade and started working because of rural environments. And what was more important was go to work, go to work. And so and some of them didn't go to school at all. You know, so when they came to the United States, it was what they understood and knew how to do was work.
Yeah.
So when we came, when they came, and then because I was born here in the U.S. and this is part of the framework that was in my thinking at that time at a young age is if you have it to go to school, we want to help you go to school. But if you feel that you don't want to, this is to a 7-year-old. You know, if you
want to go to school,
you know, so you know, if you feel that school isn't for you, you're gonna start going to work.
yeah,
You know, with dad with what he does, or with your uncle with what he does, you're gonna start helping out around the house. You know, so there was support if you want to go to school, but the kid, there was a conversation where the kid could participate in that scenario, whether hey, yeah, you know what, I am cut out for school, I'm gonna go to school, or hey, you know what, that's not for me, I'll go to work with you. And you know, so to me, it was like, oh, I must not be cut out for work, for school. You know, and so there was times I would tell my mom, I don't want to go to school today, and I was like in 3rd grade, and she would have, well, don't go. And you know, so your dad's gonna come home, and he's gonna be mad because your teacher's gonna call. So I'll get in trouble if they called. But then when there was a conversation, but that's like what was in there in my thinking.
yeah,
I started to think, okay, I must not be cut out to go to school. That was one part of it. And another part of it, and I'm pretty sure that wasn't just in this area that I grew up in. With the kids, school wasn't something that was like popular.
yeah,
You know, it typically, the kid that was seen as being cool was the kid that was actually kind of like a little rebel.
yeah,
You know,
Rex.
you know, and don't let that kid at the 5th grade or 6th grade, maybe not completely smoking a cigarette, but taking a puff here and there. Oh, that guy's cool.
Yeah,
He actually smokes. I can't be going back to my house smelling like a cigarette.
yeah,
You know, I'm still like in that place where I should have stayed for a while longer. But was glamorized out there
Yeah.
in the world I grew up in. And the kid that was passing by, and maybe he was 19, in a car, oh, he's really cool.
yeah. Not the kid that's reading the book.
Not the kid that's reading the book. So so by the time I got to prison at 17 years old, 18 years old, um, I had stopped actively going to school in the 7th grade. When you go to prison, and you're tested to determine you're gonna go to school or you're gonna go to work, and they give you like an assessment test. And what came back when I first went to prison, I was reading in a 7th grade level.
That's when you left.
That's when I left. So in thinking back to that, I was speaking in a 7th grade level because that's what my understanding was.
Again in the 7th grade level.
So to me, and here I was at 17, still thinking that I knew better than my parents.
Yeah.
And that I knew better than other adults.
And you weren't reading anything to teach you that you know.
And the things that were in my mind,
That's a good point.
that I was mining to get some understanding of what was around me,
Yeah.
was my environment and what I told myself, the things that I told myself that I knew,
Yeah.
which was in
So what was the first book you read then?
very interesting.
That helped you.
That helped me.
Yeah.
Uh,
The first book you read, yeah.
yeah, the first book that I read, I just arrived to, I was incarcerated. Because I read in juvenile hall also, but they were like detective novels.
Yeah.
And they were more like just passing time. And but when I went to prison, by the time I got to prison, I was already 18 years old, and I was in Corcoran State Prison. I had just came from reception center, and I had just received a double life sentence, and I got there, and my cellmate was a guy that had been in prison before, and he came back with a life sentence. Or no, he came back with 15 or 16 years, but it's still a long time.
Yeah.
But inside of that environment, he had a little bit of time to do.
Yeah.
And because we had just got there and we were in orientation, no one had anything. And somebody passed by that was sweeping, what they call a tier tender, and they brought us a book, which was the Bible. And we didn't have anything. The only thing that we
It's
had
interesting because you're Buddhist, and then the first book you read was the Bible.
was the Bible. And so yeah, it is very interesting. So they brought us a Bible. The only thing that we had with us was in prisons, they call it a roll, a bedroll. And the bedroll is a towel, a t-shirt, a pair of boxers, like I think 2 t-shirts, 2 boxers, and 2 pair of socks. And that's what they gave us, a roll. And so we used one of the t-shirts to clean the cell, to wash it down with soap. And then once we wringed it out, we used it to pick up the water. And now the cell is clean, we sat down. They brought us the book. And for the first week, because we still had it on the committee, we spent it reading the Bible. And we would exercise in the morning, and then we would read a little bit. But we would read to each other out loud because there was only one book. There was only one Bible.
Yeah.
So we would take in segments of the day, which was we scheduled it to do different things, and we included reading time.
I love the reading now.
Yeah.
So then what was the access to the other books? Like, Melvin, how did you get Da Vinci Code?
Oh, it was a friend of mine that had now he wants attention. He wants to be on camera.
He wants some camera time.
Hey,
Yeah.
sit down, buddy. So a friend of mine's had it, and parent or someone sent it in to him.
And
So once he got it sent in to him, he shared it with me. He was like, I think you will take a lot from this book. And a lot of times when you do run across good books, when certain people do have good books, they won't let everyone read it.
yeah.
Right? They only let people read it that they think will actually read it,
Yeah.
take care of the book, and benefit from it.
Yeah, because books are precious.
They're precious, and some people are just sticklers about how their books are handled.
Yeah.
Right? They don't want, like, I had a person tell me, like, don't drink or eat while you read my book. Don't drink or eat while you read my book. I don't want it to come back with a stain. And me at that time, I wasn't good at following rules.
Yeah.
So I was like, man, I know how to drink and eat.
And read at the same time.
Yeah. I had a right. I was eating chips one day and put this mirror on the book, and I was just like, oh my God. And it's what's interesting is every book that I read was actually like a notch under my belt. Like I learned so much through reading.
Yeah.
That's pretty much why my life changed while I was incarcerated, because I had never had intellectual conversations with people. And let me not say that, because I had people who was smart in my life that gave me advice, but like I'll be honest, like reading Martin Luther King's autobiography, just his nonviolent approach, I started to tell myself, I'm like, man, that took a lot of strength. So I started to admire that. Like I could not imagine someone putting their hands on me and me not fighting back, right?
Yeah.
But then I said, what I admired about it was the purpose. He said, people are not going to remember what you stand for when you fight back. They're just going to look at you for what you're doing, not what you was intending to do. So once I started to understand that, he make a good point. He like, if we fight, it changes while we march. If we're saying we don't want violence done to us, we have to let them see that the violence that they're doing to us is unjust. And if we reciprocate it, then it goes away, because now all they saying is, look at this guy, punch him back. Right? Or look at this guy punch. They're not going to look at the action that caused the reaction. But if we don't fight, all they can now do is say, man, look how he pummeled that woman. Look how he pummeled that man. Why did he do that? Now the why is stuck there.
It's on them.
Right? So reading that made me realize, I said, in prison, all they teach you is to fight back.
React.
Right? You got to react. If you don't, there's something wrong. But then I said, who am I worried about judging me? Am I worried about the people that's incarcerated judging me, or the people that I want to give me a second chance at life?
Yeah.
So that book really helped me to realize how having self-restraint was actually a great benefit.
Yeah.
So reading that, I was like, well, I don't even have to put myself in harm's way. I just need to get to a point where I'm not in any confrontations so it don't escalate. But even if it does, I have to tell myself that I'm a nonviolent person.
Yes.
So I
Yeah.
started to remind myself, like, you know what? And I tell my friends, I'm on my Martin Luther King tip. They're like, what's that? Nonviolence. They're like, yeah, sound good. And they used to always say, so if somebody hits you, what you would do? I mean, like, man, it'd be hard not to respond, but I have to tell myself that this is the person that I am today. So what I noticed was when I would get angry, mostly all the fights that I had was ones that I initiated, right?
So if you just stopped initiating, you were
I
fine.
was fine, right? What nobody messing with me. I was always messing with somebody else or getting myself in a situation that created the escalation
Yeah.
to promote the violence. So once I was able to start thinking like Martin Luther King, it helped me a lot.
It's a little bit like Gandhi. He's like that.
It's really interesting because it took me a while in reading to get to a place to start being more critical with the things that I found in my thinking,
Yeah.
you know, or the things that I encountered in my reading.
Yeah.
It took me a while to develop. Whenever I would read, because I was reading in the 6th, 7th grade level, I was thinking in the 6th, 7th grade level. So there was a lot of words that I didn't know, you know? So in my time in prison, I, I, uh, um, I included myself right away with Southern Mexicans. And in that environment, the education is very similar to the rest of the population where at least I think it is. It went well. This is the way it was for me. I went in there and I identified myself right away with that group, right? And in that group, the education was, or the thinking was, hey, to be part of this group, you have to sign up to be for the to the next altercation that comes up within the group. What they called it a cleanup, and so I had to prove myself by being willing to do get into a fight with someone that they said that needed to be fought within the group.
Yeah.
That sent me to the hole for 2 years when I first got to prison. It was back there that I started to read and I was reintroduced to me,
Yeah.
to the person who's reading and thinking in the 6th, 7th grade level.
Yeah.
And because now I'm outside of the external social community, and now I'm back with me. And I'm like, oh yeah, I can't read.
You were 2 years with you as well, so get comfortable.
Yeah. So I'm reintroduced to me, and I'm interacting with me. I'm talking. I have a celly, but I'm being now reminded of where I am thinking wise and reading wise.
Yeah.
You know. So now I'm like, oh man, I need help.
Did you get it?
And I first started hearing that voice in here. I need help, and I didn't. But I still didn't have the courage to say, can you help me? You know?
Yeah.
But I have the thinking, I need help. So what I started to do, because within that group, that subgroup that I was identifying myself with, they valued education.
Oh, cool.
Very interesting. And not only them, but the other people in the security housing unit, they had been back there for years, they valued education. And they start talking to each other, loaning each other books and doing, as long as the doors were closed, they had this unwritten rule that people are cordial with each other and they'll share food with each other and literature. So they start sharing books and they're like, oh, so do you read? And I'm like, I want to hang out with them. Like at least, in the hanging out that people did through conversation, you know?
Yeah.
So
Because you can't leave.
you're in a cell that you're in for 23 hours a day, and you come out to shower or go to the yard. And typically you go out by yourself or you go out with your
And then when you
partner.
go to the yard, are you just with your celly or by yourself or with everyone?
It depends. When I was in the SHU or the security housing unit in Pelican Bay, his sister cellmate and you. When I was in the security housing unit or segregation in Corcoran State Prison, there was a small, like a 15 men in the yard,
And that's for like 30 minutes?
and that was for 2 hours. But when I first went to the hole or segregation in 1996, um, none of the yards that I ended up going to lasted more than 15 minutes because there was a lot of conflicts back then.
So someone would happen and everyone would get inside.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes only 2 cells will make it out. They'll get into a fight and they'll come back.
Jeez.
So there was all this violence
Yeah.
in there. So I would read and I would keep a sheet of paper because I saw my cellmate doing this. And I had someone tell me the advice of what they would do when they would read and they would come across words that they didn't understand. They would write them down, borrow a dictionary, and put the definition underneath.
Ah, interesting.
You know? So I started doing that. I started having pages and pages of words that I was coming across and I was like, what does that mean? What does this mean? And then when I would check out on I go to the law library and I would look at a dictionary and I will write the definition. I will write words down on my hand. And then in the law library I'll have a pin because they'll have a pin in the little holding cell where they will put you.
Mhm.
And then I would borrow a dictionary and I'll start writing them down. Or if somebody had a dictionary in the pod I was in, I would ask to borrow it, write down the definitions that they need to write down, and I'll send them back to book because they needed it for their own.
What they do.
Yeah. And so
That's interesting. So what books have you got here? Because we need to.
this is very interesting.
That looks like the Bible at the bottom.
No, that's Shakespeare.
This
The
is
bottom one?
the bottom one is the complete works
you-
of Shakespeare.
Shoot, man.
And these two are Buddhist books.
You're reading grade level 7. You're reading Shakespeare now. Oh,
This is Shakespeare. These are two Buddhist books.
I feel like I still am at grade level 7.
This is Marcus Aurelius' the Meditations, which is his personal diary or his journaling.
Mhm.
And then later on, when in publishing, in one of the titles is Meditations. And this right here is Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning
Did you read these in prison or after prison?
in prison.
No.
Mhm.
And did you bring these out with you, or did you?
I brought with me from prison, and the cover is actually a cover that I made in prison for this book, and I brought only certain books back out because the rest of them I gave them away to the guys.
I love that.
But because who bought my nephew
So meaningful.
who I'm very close with, bought me this book. Even though I used to tell him not to send me anything, he sent me a book because he knew that I liked to read, and I kept that book when it came out.
Mm.
This one's called Man's Search for Meaning.
Yes,
And who's it by?
Viktor Frankl. He actually is a psychiatrist that lived through the Holocaust and did a lot of his studies while in concentration camps. And
Now I'm gonna have to look that up because you put me onto Joseph Campbell, so now I'm gonna be onto that one.
so this is Thich Nhat Hanh, No Mud, No Lotus. It's a Buddhist book. And this is Transforming Problems into Happiness.
And who's that by?
And this is by Lama Rinpoche. Lama Zopa Rinpoche.
And you read this one in prison. So,
Yes. And it has a nice cover from prison also.
so it's funny. Was I saying to you that I felt like, or was it you that I felt like school was like prison?
It must have
But-
been.
That was me.
Yeah.
Do you remember? I don't know if you did this at school, that you
Yeah.
had to cover your books like this at school. As soon as you got your textbooks, any book, they would make you get more paper or something and cover it like this. I told you, school's like prison.
When later on, I started to read and I started to write down the definition of words that I would be like,
Like this.
yeah, that's a footnote, and it says practical advice to practice. And if I read this, let me
And
see.
that's what that paragraph is.
Yeah, and it's talking about identifying the harms you receive as problems has great shortcomings. Identifying the harms you receive as problems has great shortcomings. Okay. Think of all the problems you have experienced in your life, then contemplate over and over again the result of seeing them as problems. Has it benefited you or not? Try to see as clearly as possible the shortcomings of this attitude, then generate a very strong positive motivation determining that from now on, no matter what problems I have to face, I won't become irritated by them.
I like that idea if you write what that paragraph is, so you can just go back, but oh, that's what I need. I need to.
That was again, when to me in the life that the short amount of years that I've been alive,
You can see that's world you up a bit. Did it bring it back?
Yeah, it what works for me, because everybody will learn how to do something and then they'll do it in their own individual way, which it comes back to the dog ear in your book, right? To me was putting cliff notes, putting notes into my stuff, and so it's very interesting because the early years of actually writing down definitions was very important for me to understand.
Yeah.
Because when I was reading things, my understanding was very on the surface
Yeah.
because I didn't know the definition of words. And then you put two words together, that definition changes.
Changes. Yeah.
You know, I didn't know that when I didn't know how to read or when I read very little. You know, I didn't know that. So to me, because there were so many things that I didn't know, and there's a lot of things that I don't know today too. Just reading, there were so many things that I didn't know. It helped me in the sense that I started to write down the definitions of a lot of words.
Yeah.
So that helped me, I think, because when I started to read more critical books or books like Shakespeare, um, I started leaning into the things I didn't understand.
Yeah.
So I intentionally read Shakespeare that was read during the time of Shakespeare, and then when I was finding Shakespeare that was written in language that I could understand, I would read both.
Yeah.
I would reread Richard II.
Yeah.
I would reread his sonnets. I will reread his tragedies, and to me, two things happen. The understanding, the period, how to understand period, the language that was being used in the period, that is different also.
Yeah.
You know,
We don't, some words aren't used now.
they're not used anymore. And some words that are not used.
And it's English.
And it's English.
I mean, I was talking to my poor guy the other day, and I was describing someone, and I was like, oh, yeah, well, he's just a Billy Big Bollocks. And he was like, what? And I was like, oh, that's an English saying for someone who thinks they know it all, like Billy Big Bollocks.
So it's taken me, I started seeing the value in knowing the definition of words, but also of words that are no longer used of certain periods, of certain countries, of certain regions, in order to understand what a particular person was talking about.
Yeah.
Because I started thinking, I used to think when I was doing this early on, I think he's saying this. But to me, what I think being critical was, or critical is using my understanding in these different areas and revisiting what's being said.
Really say.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they like to be critical with even what I thought or telling myself or what I think this means.
Yeah.
And I was like, hold on. Now I'll start telling myself, hold on.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's powerful because I thought I had seen this on TED Talk. I was watching TED Talk, and one of the speakers said, if you don't graduate high school, you're probably going to have a word deficit, right?
Absolutely.
Of thousands of words that you should know that you're not going to know, which enables you to grow.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, I stopped taking school serious in middle school, right? I stopped,
Same.
but I did the same thing he done. Every word that I didn't know, I wrote it down
Yeah.
and I bought a dictionary and I would just be looking up words. And I got to the point where I literally had hundreds of words, just the words now. And I'll recite them and say the definition of them. Right. And what was so life changing, I'll never forget this: knowledge and wisdom.
Yeah.
Right. I'm like, oh, knowledge is wisdom. Wisdom is knowledge. But then when I looked at the definition, knowledge is stored information. Wisdom is information that's stored and put into practicality.
So the same thing.
Well, actually, they're not. Here's why. Knowledge is just information. You can have all the knowledge in the world, but if you don't apply it, it doesn't become wisdom, right? You're not wise. You can have knowledge, but because I would notice that there's a lot of people in prison with knowledge. And I used to ask myself, man, if I was smart like him, I wouldn't even be in this situation.
Become wise. So yeah.
Exactly. So what I started to realize was, which helped me, is this information means nothing if I'm not using it.
Because if you apply it wrong, if you don't learn from it.
Right. What good is it to know better and not to do better?
Yeah.
Right. And a lot of people in here, they know, but they don't do.
Yeah.
So I was running across guys that can recite Shakespeare.
Yeah.
Right. Guys that can recite half of the Bible.
But they're still going to react to some of this.
Right. So I started to realize, like, okay, you have stored information, but you haven't learned how to use it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't want knowledge only. I want to be wise, right? I want wisdom.
Yeah.
Right. I want to learn how to put it into practicality. And what was interesting, the more words that I learned, the more I was able to learn myself. I remember running across the word introspection. Introspection is just examining your thoughts and feelings.
I was about to be like, what could that mean?
Right. So that's what it means. It means to examine your thoughts and feelings.
I presume not, but.
See? so looking at it from that perspective, I'm like, okay, introspection. Am I examining my thoughts and feelings? What does that look like? Because if I don't know the word, how can I reflect on understanding what's being said? You know what I'm saying? So for me, that was powerful because I'm like, when was the last time I actually examined my thoughts and feelings? And in the dog world, they tell you before you even grab the leash to check in with yourself.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts and feelings? And I'm like, when was the last time I ever thought about my thoughts and feelings? And that's what reading was able to do. It was able to challenge me and stretch and grow me into my thinking, because now I'm being presented different information that in a conversation, if we two sixth graders talking, and I would say this in prison, you notice that, like, you would hear conversations, you'll be like, man, I used to talk about that when I was in the sixth grade. And they're having a full-blown sixth grader conversation right now. And it became redundant. Like, everywhere you go, you'll hear the same conversations, right? And not to minimize, like, books, but they had books that was like urban novels where they just talk about like gang stories, killer stories, and they'll be talking about it like it's like
keeping you in it.
Just keeping you in it. They'll be talking about it. I'll be like, bro, we live this. Why would a book? Why are we spending this much time talking about a book? And I get it for entertainment purposes, but I used to see dudes that was all they talked about, and they felt like, oh man, watch, I'm gonna be sharp when I get out now. Can't nobody run no game on me in the streets.
Because I know I'm just rambling about how to not do it.
Right. And I'll be like, yeah, well, you could have rented something more beneficial than that.
You know that is interesting to me because so much of what you said is true. Like, but what I thinking about these things, right? Like revisiting these things, introspection, developing mindfulness in order to be able to apply it to an internal object and look at it and study it and mine it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then applying what understanding is born from what is being discovered and into the experience, and to make it into an experiential question to see what comes out, right? And looking at what comes out. And it's this process that begins to where I would say the rubber meets the road, where what a person is learning is now being applied to life, right?
Yeah.
And that is starting to be incorporated into real life,
Yeah.
you know, and that's when it becomes, at least in the what I heard you say as wisdom, what comes out through this application, right? And so to me, because I ran across a I developed valuing education in prison, and through people that modeled that behavior, they saw value in education,
Yeah.
and within the people that were valuing education, there was this spectrum of people that applied what they were learning, you know, and to me, which is where Buddhism came in, because I am pretty sure that Christianity, Judaism, Islam have tools in how to apply what they're learning, what's being learned, so it can become wisdom.
Yeah.
And it just, I found that in Buddhism.
Yeah.
In Buddhism, I began to discover the tools to use my experience through meditation, to do my investigation through meditation, developing awareness and doing, and that was my scope when it came about me, when it became about who am I and going down that journey.
Yeah.
And it began the process of developing definitions, using the definitions that I was already writing down, but now through Buddhism, I can now identify or the things that I was encountering inside of myself.
Yeah.
I can start putting names to emotions and
Yeah.
thoughts and saying, "Oh my God, that's what this is. That's what that is." And then I started being more critical and unpacking the anger, the frustration, the sadness, the whatever I was finding, right? And it was through this process of experiencing, but taking apart what I was finding, identifying what I was finding, having definitions for all what I was finding inside of myself, which began what I refer to as the relationship with me,
Yeah.
because I didn't know who I was.
Yeah.
And then when I started to sit with myself, or who was showing up when I sat with myself, I didn't know how to interpret it because I didn't have the vocabulary for it.
Yeah.
I didn't have the understanding for it. I didn't have all these things. So now I'm meeting people that are in different parts of the spectrum of applying what they know. And to me, this has been very interesting, because a lot of this period where I did most of this research, of reading and learn how to spell and learn how to what words meant, was in a hole. In the little bit of exposure or access that I had to educators that came to the hole to give us materials was very limited. So when I came back out to the mainline, I started finding what I found in segregation, where people are at when it comes to how much they're applying what they know.
Yeah.
Because people were even though they were older, they probably were still in the beginning or somewhere in the middle, or when it comes to application. And some people were actually like little Jedi's. They were over here somewhere. I'm like, God, this person is really wise. You know what I mean? But they seem to make up this wide spectrum. Not everyone was the same.
Yeah.
And when I came back to the mainline and I started talking to educators, they were free people, because in prison you were either incarcerated or you were free and just worked there.
Right.
So I was meeting nurses, people in the dentist office, educators, counselors, and I started discovering through conversations, this person just knows a book. This person actually has done some work. This person has actually spent something with their soul.
Yeah.
This person, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You start getting that because of I got from my own support through Buddhism, to get to know myself.
Yeah.
In that getting to know myself, I started to recognize when someone else has been working on themselves.
Yeah.
Good point.
I became more sensitive
Do
to
you know what that's bringing up for me? It's like an old memory of, because you were saying with the Dan Brown, because that's fictional. So we've done loads of like self-help books and stuff as well, but I could never figure it out why this helped this person. My book the person who edited my book, so she knows that my book is completely fictional. However, I'll never forget, after she edited it and it was out there, the main character in it is not a massively likable girl, but she's got problems, but she's raw and she's going through a lot of hardship. And she said to me once, I can't remember if it was email or a text or something. She was like, I'm going through this in my life, because she was like rooming with somebody, and she kept saying to me, but what gives me strength is I think back to if Laura did it. Laura's my character in my book. Completely fictional. If Laura can do it, I can do it.
I
And
love
I was
this.
like,
I love
this is crazy, because you edited my book. You know it. You literally helped me develop it. She didn't just edit it. She worked on the whole development of it. Went through like a process of, well, she'll take this out. Just like, she knows it's full fictional.
Inside out. She know it.
However, the character story, even at the end of all that, she still takes something from it. She's like, if she can do it, I can do it. I'm like, she's completely made up.
And what's the name of this book?
I'm going to give it to you. You've got it, right?
Yep.
Now and then.
You know that I want to say something.
I'm trying to plug it.
Oh,
Yeah.
plug it.
I want to say something about what she just said right now, because I think that is so beautiful, because I heard it talk about books that were helpful while we were, in our lives. What you said stands out to me, because that idea that of using I'll say, okay. A long time ago, I read a book by Sidney Poitier. Sidney Poitier was an American actor, African American. He made a movie, Guess Who's Coming for Dinner, which was back in the 1950s. Which in the movie, he was the boyfriend in an interracial relationship that was invited to dinner. But Sidney Poitier wrote a book that I read when I was a younger man in prison, and he said that that it's very important for us to have a board of directors. And the board of directors, these are people that we admire, respect, and that we go to for advice, and they should be of a quality that we admire, because of how they carry themselves, and how they live in the world, and how they are with their family, and how they are as human beings. They should fit into a lot of categories who they are, of why we admire them, right? And so when we should investigate these people that we put into our board of directors, thoroughly enough for them to be elected to sit in our board. We should be very critical who gets to sit there, but they can be alive or deceased or even fictional.
Oh, characters.
They should have a personality, a character, that to us, we want to work to align with how they are.
I mean, it kind of makes sense, because characters like Laura, she was fictional, but another person read to the end of the book, and it doesn't tie up as nicely as most books. But the girl said to me, I like it because it's what Laura would have done. If she had a personality, if she had tied that little last bit of bow up, it wouldn't have been her. It wouldn't have been her person. She was a bitch. Wouldn't have been her personality. Like, she was growing, but she wasn't there yet.
But that's reality, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think to what he said, when you strive to be better, you have to look at a mark to reach.
Yeah.
Right? I didn't have role models growing up. I don't know why growing up, I like sports, so I like the basketball player Magic Johnson, but I never wanted to be like him.
Yeah.
Right? As a kid, I remember they would ask, hey, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I used to just be stuck, like, what do I want to be? Like, just be me.
Yeah.
Like I didn't have no aspirations to be anything. And I always wondered that, like, was I just lazy mentally? Like, why didn't I aspire to want to be like anything? Right. And I realized that as a young kid, I did want to go to the army. Right. I just liked the military. I liked the hand-to-hand combat. I liked that type of adrenaline,
Yeah.
right? But this was after I had already chose the street life. Like if I'm gonna be out here ripping and running and thugging, I might as well put it towards something more beneficial in my mind. That's
Yeah.
what I thought, you know. At least I get paid to do what I'm
Yeah.
doing, right? And I can do it legally. But that's neither here nor there. The thing that I wanted to speak on was what books gave me. Books gave me role models,
Yeah.
right? I started to read about Martin Luther
Martin
King,
King.
Jesus.
Mm.
I liked it. Maya Angelou,
Oh yeah,
right? I read her
Yeah.
autobiography.
I listened to her on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, come on, tell me about her.
yeah. My
Did she?
So she was a poet,
Yeah.
a book writer,
educator.
yeah, and but she just had a inspiration about her
Huh?
that just inspired me because she had been through a lot.
Yeah.
You know, growing up, she had been molested, and Oprah was another person that inspired me.
Right. Yeah.
You know, because like when you look at their stories, I remember reading this in a book that life is 10% of what happens to you and 90% of how you respond to it.
Yeah.
And for me, that was powerful because I'm like, yeah, we always focus on what we've been through,
Yeah.
right? And then I'll think, I got an older brother who's 4 years older than me, grew up in the same household, same conditions, same neighborhood, but yeah, he chose to be a school teacher. He didn't grow up and chose the gang bang.
He didn't grow up in the same life as you did because they say this. You have different parents.
Well,
They're like 2 years. You don't have the same parents.
that's a good
Yeah.
point that you made because him and my mom are super tight. I was more tighter with my dad.
Yeah, because different time of their life, they get kids, circumstances.
But what I learned from my brother was choices,
Mm.
right? You have choices. And the limited your choices seem to be, the limited decisions that you will make as a human being, right? So once I started to see like, man, I have abundance of choices. Another thing that helped me, like when you read something and then you believe it,
Yeah.
belief is powerful because belief gives you hope.
Oh, belief is what the two books that helped me for when I was depressed. I fell upon Think and Grow Rich,
Napoleon Hill.
Napoleon Hill, and there's a bit in it where I actually did it. I should have dug it out, where you have to like write out like your intention, but it's got to be unselfish, and there's like 6 rules. There's like 6 things, and I followed it, and I just changed the money to happiness because I was depressed. So I wanted happiness and love. So I just changed. Anytime they were talking about the money, I would just change the intention to being the happiness. And then I went on, and in that book, they talk about the secret. I don't know if I should spoil this for everyone out there, but you know, the secret, I'll just put it out there, is belief.
It's
Like,
belief,
I don't think they actually say it in the book, but it's if you believe, and I mean really believe, it will happen.
You know that what you just said about Napoleon Hill's book and how you just changing certain things, and if you could extend it to something great, from what how I'm understanding, something greater than just the person, right?
Yeah.
And when you were talking about with hope and belief, right? Viktor Frankl, which is his master for meaning, he talked about in his experience in the concentration camps, something that I heard expounded in other areas or championed in other areas of thinking is basically what a person what understanding they come to that gives them the thing that gives them hope.
Yeah.
And the thing that they're holding in their mind is if it's big enough, more than themselves, they can get through extraordinary things. You know, and he documented that the people who went through things that he found extraordinary, including his own experience of himself, were the people that held that they wanted to see if their kid was still alive. They wanted to see if their mom was still alive. The thing that, and they wanted to see if their wife was still, because they were separated a few years before in another concentration camp, and they were seeing the puffs of smoke of people being disintegrated.
They have no idea. Yeah.
So they don't know if they ended up in an oven or in another concentration camp. But the thought of what if they're still alive?
Yeah.
I have to keep myself alive. That hope enabled them to get through some things that were extremely evil. You know?
That's a good point.
And so to me,
Yeah.
belief, what you talked about, the secret, I don't want to spoil,
Yeah.
it's the thing that we're carrying and holding on to. If it's bigger than us,
Yeah.
if the quality of it is of a certain type, and what is that type that is bigger than us? It can have us survive things that other people might, in hearing it, say, they don't know how they will get through that.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's
That-
true.
It's a point that you make, because when I was in prison, you never admit to any wrongs you done,
Mhm.
right? Like that's like everybody's innocent in prison,
Yeah.
right? That's just been like, you tell each other like, of course I'm not innocent, but
Yeah, yeah.
anybody else, man, I ain't do what they said I done. And I remember reading in the Bible, it said, if you confess your sins, God is faithful and just to forgive you of your sins and cleanse you from all unrighteousness. So I remember reading that, and
It doesn't track with me right now.
it didn't, right?
Yeah.
To me, it's like, it sounds like mumbo jumbo,
Yeah.
right? So what was interesting is you have to study to show yourself approved, right? You have to study. So when I would study it, I'll do what he said. I'll read the modern day translation. What does this mean now, right? So basically, it was just saying the truth sets you free,
Yeah.
right? But God, grace is more sufficient than any sin, right? For anything you've done, he's saying, look, I'll forgive you. I just want you to do better. Don't stay stuck on what you did. And for me, that was powerful because I was stuck in a rut.
Yeah.
Like, man, I threw my whole life away. So when I started to see that in that text that God was forgiving and just, you have to be honest, I started to be honest with my counselors. The psychiatrist that I was seeing, the therapist, I'd be like, you know what, I'm guilty. They're like, oh, you're guilty. Right? And at first they're like,
Work with this.
yeah, because how can you be transformed, or how can you work on what you come to prison for if you never admit to what you've done?
Yeah.
And to them, that was used. They're like, really? And at first I was scared but then I'm looking like, what more trouble can I get in?
Yeah.
I'm already in trouble. I'm already sentenced to a life sentence for what I've done.
Okay. Similar, but not similar. I'm a real estate agent, and I had a guy working for me, and he was in my systems. I can see everything that goes on in the system. It's my system. It was literally built for me, so I could see all the back ends. He had removed a listing or something within there, so I knew what he had done, but he was covering up. I don't know how it happened, and I wanted him to admit to me. And he wouldn't admit it. He kept like, oh, this must have happened. That must have happened. And even though I was trying to sort of say to him, like, dude, I know that that's not the case, without basically saying, look, I've got it all here in the data. I needed him to admit it, and he didn't. And I let him go. And I said, the reason I'm letting you go is because I can't trust you. If you had just told me I did this, then I would have been able to be like, dude, it happens. This is how we fix it, blah, blah, blah. But you were so hell-bent. And I mean, I must have been for half a day trying to get him to just admit that he made the mistake. And I was like, I cannot work with that because I cannot trust you. And it's such a small organization. So
there's a passage that you might be very familiar with that's in the Bible that I don't know what part of the Bible it's in. It talks about a human being's flaws. That the research are leaning into those areas of in the human being is where wisdom will come from, right? And there's very similar thinking in Buddhism, which is in this, and even in more contemporary times, I hear people say that the way over something is through it.
Yeah.
You know, Marcus Aurelius talks about how the problem, the challenge becomes the way, the problem becomes the way. You know, it's not going around it. Here we are talking
like head on.
Well, the information of how to resolve and get and to improve as a human being, in this case, being open,
Yeah.
transparent, is through the problem
Yeah.
of staying quiet.
Yeah.
You know, of not being transparent.
Yeah.
The thing in there is causing, oh, I should stay quiet.
Yeah.
The fear, the self-conscious or
Yeah.
shame, that needs to be confronted.
Mhm. Yeah.
You know, so
See, me as a mom, I probably would have picked up on that and sat him down. But I remember I was like my early 30s or late 20s. I didn't care then. I was like, dude, you're lying out.
as powerful as these exercises of transparency, it needs to start with the individual. Going back to, is it information that a person just has an understanding cognitively, or is it something that a person is actually applying into their own soul and their own heart and their own,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And then
That's self-preservation.
it's so, and there's another side of thinking, uh, in self-help, more modern self-help work that I've heard it said this way, which is basically coming back to the what is it, Joseph Campbell thing of researching and finding the same thing.
Everyone's saying the same thing, but just a bit differently. So
Mhm.
somebody at the beginning of time had to have this idea and just off into different.
I remember being in prison watching the institutional channel, and there was this wonderful educator saying that what's holding many of us from doing this, moving forward from things that happened a long time ago, is shame. And shame, the less that we talk about it, the bigger it gets.
Yeah.
So we need to be open and transparent with ourselves, and then we can eventually, or if a person is able to do it with another human being, which is whether it's a therapist or someone else, but typically it starts with ourselves of saying it out loud in here, right? This is what happened.
Yeah.
You know,
No emotion.
mainly emotion. You give it a face.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because it stays in the shadows when we don't.
Yeah.
So it did through my practice with my own faith, right? Um, it doesn't end there. It doesn't end there because this needs repeated practice,
Yeah.
repeated investigating, repeated of sitting and leaning into these stuff.
Yeah.
Uh,
Like reading the Bible over and over again to put it into application.
because the whole transparency or practice, you know, if I'm going to be honest, I'm coming for a job, I want to be an employee, I'm going to talk to you about it.
Mm.
It's still not easy for me to do in here. So that means that I still need to practice leaning into that in here privately when I meditate or when I pray. I still need to sit down with myself because there's enough discomfort and shame is still there, enough that it convinces me I still need to work
Yeah.
sit there, you know.
Yeah, that makes sense. Before we I want to get in off camera, you mentioned you read the Bible and other things on an app.
Oh yeah.
I remember the app when they kind of first started. What's it called? Headspace?
It's called Headway.
Headway.
Yeah.
How does it work?
So I got a year subscription, and what it does is any book that you type in there, it gives you a synopsis of it. So it'll read it, but it'll read bullet
This is
points.
different because Headspace is the meditation one. So this is Headway.
Oh, wow.
Okay, now I'm interested. How does that work?
So let's just say,
Not like that on meditation.
No.
so I go to the app and I type in what book do y'all want to bring up? Any book?
Wait,
that-
let's talk about books. So we're like, what book? Let's put something in.
So hold on. Let me
Let's do something like, I don't know.
A book that I don't have that it's a favorite of mine is by heck, it's the last lecture by Randy Pausch. Randy Pausch was a professor at Carnegie Mellon University that died of pancreatic cancer, and
And he wrote a book.
He wrote a book called The Last
See, look,
Lecture.
I'm gonna be re-listening to our podcast, writing down all of these names. That's what I did with the Joseph Campbell one.
Randy Pausch's Last Lecture is a huge book that was I fell in love with his book. And even to this day I think of it when
And what's his name?
Randy, Randy Posch. Posh.
Let's see if it brings it up.
No, I don't have his book, so
No?
no.
Wonderful human being, but yeah.
So that's one book that it doesn't have, The Last Lecture.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe
one more.
something more mainstream like Harry Potter.
Oh, it's gonna have Harry Potter. Well, let me see, because it may not have Harry Potter because it's more of a it's fictional. So it doesn't have Harry Potter.
Or it might be territorial as well.
So let me put up one of the books that I like, which is called Emotional Intelligence.
Oh, who's that by?
So let me see, because they just
And
have,
is it reading or is it audible?
it's reading.
I'm dyslexic.
So
this
no,
one.
oh no, it'll read it to you.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah. So
Okay.
Yeah.
so
Chapter 1. For a manager to get the most out of their employees, emotional intelligence is key. Emotional intelligence
it's
is a
audible.
skill that
So you can read it if you want.
yeah, and then you can read along with it.
we're all born with some degree of
It'll show you.
intelligence that can either be developed through
You
Oh.
can read along with it
Yes.
and reads it out.
Or you
Okay.
can just turn.
This
You
is
just
great.
turn it on.
emotional intelligence can inspire their teams to greatness.
But I like, and they're between.
Is it expensive?
No, I think it costs $49 for a year.
No way.
Yeah.
Right, headway. I'm getting that.
Yeah.
But
That's
it's-
actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yep. And what it does for me, it's like, no, hey,
Because I have Audible and I have 2 subscription. I have UK subscription and US. So you get different books, and some books you can't
Oh.
get in England, some books you can't get in America.
there's on the App Store. It's different. You could pick it like, oh, this is the one from England. This is the one from the US.
No, I think you have to have the 2. Well, I don't know if it's because I have an English email that I'm able to do it because I
okay.
have one, but I keep both subscriptions going because when I used to be mainly into fiction books, sometimes they won't put out to every territory. So I'm like, I can't get this book. Why? It was because it was either
The embargo.
oh,
There's tariffs.
yeah, the tarot. I think it must be something in it. I don't know.
No,
I'm not too sure.
There's gotta be something. There is.
Yeah.
There's gotta be someone's not getting paid somewhere.
Yeah, or maybe you do have to pay to go into different tarots. But I think it's also that some books are like banned in some countries.
Yeah.
Some
No.
are.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm
'Cause-
gonna get that, but headway.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's
That is good.
and it's just like 15, 20-minute books. But what it does, it just gives you bullet points of things.
no,
like
Oh,
it.
so they're short stories.
Yeah, short stories. And it's mostly
Oh, I
like,
get that.
it's mostly self-help books.
Oh, I could put my short story on there.
Right. You know what I like about it? Because it's just like reading the first 100 pages of a book, right? I get to listen to the bullet points of a certain book, and I get to say, oh, I'm gonna read that book,
Yeah.
you know. And then because again, I love physical.
But those ones are all complete, those books on that app. They are complete books. They're
Yeah.
just short ones.
They're just short.
So
And
I like self-help.
I don't think they're. So they do got some novels, like autobiographies and things, but they just literally just tell you like some bullet points to it. Like they sum it all up for you in like 15, 20 minutes. Yeah, so it's super cool. I like it a lot.
What I don't, well, not that I don't like, but what I'm kind of like with Audible, that every like I get books and I have them in my little library, and if they disappear, it said this is no longer carried by Audible. I'm like, I was just listening to it last week.
Oh, yeah. I'm not come across that. That's so wrong.
Yeah, and I'm like, what happened there? Are you guys like?
Because you buy it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I would say for me personally though, I need to read to retain.
Really?
Yeah,
I'm audible. I'll fall asleep. I'm better if I listen to it.
I wish I had that ability, but I'm got one in one ear and out the other.
That's interesting.
Right? If I read it, it's stuck in me. I can
Yeah.
memorize it. I can
Well, I'm
meditate on it.
dyslexic, so of course I've got to be audible.
I'll say this, like for me, I love a physical book. My relationship in reading a book allows me. I love the way that I understand that I learn through physically having a physical book.
Yeah.
I love the development of my understanding through that process, that relationship, right? In reading a physical book. Yet I've come to a place where I value the different formats
Yeah.
to get
And it's
here.
a different discipline.
Is it-
Reading and listening, clearly, because you're like, I struggle with reading, you struggle with listening. They're two
Man, I'll
different
listen.
disciplines.
I'll listen. I'll be driving. I'll be listening. You're like, wait, what
That's
happened?
John.
Let me.
That's
go
John. I'm
back.
like, are you listening? He's like, but I'm like, why are you not listening to the book?
I'll be like, I'll be lost.
I learn a certain way from listening, and I learn a certain way from writing what I'm understanding, and I learn a certain way from reading a physical book. So I use these different ways of reading and understanding to access the different things that they teach me.
Yeah.
And so to me, I even do this with understanding, like dog training. There's therapists. I have met child psychiatrists.
Yeah.
I have met adult psychiatrists. I have met people that are not licensed as psychiatrists, but they work with children that have certain disabilities or challenges.
Yeah.
And when I sit down and speak to them, I get to see dog training, how I understand it through the work that they do.
Yeah.
And I feel that it deepens my understanding of the same subject, in this case, dog training,
Yeah.
through the understanding and their discipline in psychology.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so having these conversations with someone that does that work, like reading and writing and listening, gives me a different perspective
Yeah.
or deepening of
Aspect of it.
it. Teaches me different.
Yeah.
You know, and to me, I love that, because I just had a conversation with someone that a lot of in the work that she does, a lot of her her clients or her children with some disability, and she was telling me a lot of the thinking that builds up their how they teach them, and I was like, hey, that's what I use with dog training.
Kids and dogs are the same.
Well, when it comes to understanding, the research, the understanding that's used in both of these disciplines is very similar.
Yeah.
You know, and I thought that was very interesting.
That is interesting.
And dogs have like the intellect is capable of up to like a 3-year-old. Yeah, I've seen that in studies where they say that a dog brain can be equivalent in its full development to like a 3, 4, 5-year-old type of like
Yeah.
comprehension.
I never knew that age group. I did hear the other day that a crow has the intelligence of like a 7-year-old. And I told that to Blake once, and then he got very like territorial. And every time we'd walk out, he'd be like, because he was when he was like 6, he'd be like, I'm more intelligent than that crow. I was like, no, listen, bud, not all crows are like 7. I'm just saying. He was like on those
not
crows.
having
He's
that,
like,
man.
I am more intelligent than you.
Yeah, I think that whatever framework or education a subject we're using, if we can find a different discipline where we can see the similarities in the definitions, do it, because that will I call it in myself, because that's how it feels for me, the stretching and bending of my thinking in that space. Whatever creates that,
Yeah.
I see the benefit that it has for me.
Yeah.
So I do that a lot with when I bump it. I do that when I bump into someone that is in a certain discipline,
Yeah.
that I see like, oh, this person's pretty good at what they do, but I'm seeing parallels with what I do.
Yeah.
So I'll engage them in a conversation because it challenges it.
Take from that, add from it.
Well, I want to see what what's the word? What it produces through the conversation.
Yeah. Okay.
That's interesting.
Because the conversation is challenging me to look at things through their education.
Yeah.
But I'm seeing it, then it's allowing me to see what I see through my work.
That's what made me create my business.
Yeah.
That's,
Basically.
that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
I work with the dogs.
But it had that.
The same connection. While I'm walking on a prison yard, it hit me out of nowhere because here was one of my prayers, right? So now that I know something, that's where I feel like, in my belief, I have a one-up on learning.
Yeah.
We call it neology, where you get on your knees and you just ask God, hey, give me the ability to understand things for which they are, not what they appear to be. Right? I want to understand, why is dog spelled backwards God?
Yeah.
Like, I just find that very, what is it? And out of nowhere, one day it just hit me. He said, you see how the dog is always happy to see you? Like you're the favorite person?
Yeah.
That's how I feel about you, buddy. No matter what you've done in the past,
Yeah.
I still love you. Like
Unconditional.
unconditionally. See how they don't hold judgment? They don't hold resentment.
Yeah.
That's the way that I feel about you. I want you to see this because you're in prison where you have no way of experiencing the love that I'm trying to tell you that I have for you. So I created this living creature to show you that.
Yeah.
And it hit me, and I was like, man, this is powerful. Am I tripping? And it was just like, and then it went a step farther, like, just like the dog, you're the dog's master, right? This dog doesn't understand that your intelligence can help them with having to figure out in the wilderness.
Yeah.
You provide everything that they need and make their life easier, but because of their innate understanding of just being out in the wild, they don't understand that.
Yeah.
It takes you to work with them to show them. And then they start to trust you, they start to respect you. Same with my relationship with you. You're lost in your sinful ways, and I'm trying to tell you, look, bud, if you just listen to me,
Yeah.
I got a better way for you. I can literally show you how to have a more purpose and fulfillful, more filling life.
Yeah.
And I started to see the similarities, like you said, the parallels, and it
Mhm.
started to work.
Yeah.
Because I see how long it took me to the framework that I was using to interact with life and interact with myself. It's like a floppy disk that you put in your computer. I think. Because there's
You sent this last time, yeah.
garbage in, garbage out, right?
Yeah.
When you put in a floppy disk, that's what's going to be accessible to me, whatever's on that disk. You know, whatever.
It's your drive, yeah.
Right. So what am I using for my drive?
Mm.
You know, because that's what creates. That's how I gain my understanding of what's out there, and being able to step back and remove that drive and putting another one. It allows me to see its similarities, how you start finding the same thing in different places.
Yeah.
And to me, it's a skill that needs constant revisiting, because it's nothing that I'm ever going to, oh, I've learned it and I can't learn it anymore.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pass away very likely, not being somewhere at the beginning stages of it. You know, but
Yeah.
but the magical thing of it in discovering that to find these things popping up everywhere is because Shakespeare has this wonderful line that the world is a stage and we're all actors in it.
Yeah.
What is the did you see a script of what the story is and what the lines of each actor is for that play?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
As a
Like the big Joseph Campbell, yeah.
you know, so as a dog trainer, you have your the screen play in the role of the trainer, and you know that's the actor. These are the actors. Who is it? The client. The you know what is their role? So there's a script
Yeah.
pre-written
Yeah.
to the roles in these drives.
Yeah.
You know, if I want to find out what this other actor in this totally different play is, I have to switch drives.
Yeah.
You know,
The whole conversation now has so many different parallels to like, so we've got books, we've got sci-fi, or the swapping of the discs. My brain
no, but you see what I mean? So the fact that you were able to use the vehicle of your spirituality to the vehicle of your professional career, it takes being able to switch drives, reprogram. And so this is a talent that needs revisiting.
Yeah.
You know, a skill set that needs revisiting, because there's actually parallels to this, maybe endlessly.
Yeah.
You know, and the understanding to fully, or even an introduction to each different way of looking at the world is endless.
Yeah.
So it requires studying. So that's another thing to get me in check, to not judge.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't live in their drive.
Yeah. You don't live in their drive. Yeah. I need to see a drive. It's the same analogy of walking in their shoes. Give me your shoes, give me a drive. I'm not mugging you, I promise you, but
You get what I'm saying?
yeah.
So that's another thing that it pops up again. Walk a mile in a person's shoes. What is that saying? Spend some time in their drive.
Yeah.
Right?
No, for sure. I think that's what was life changing for me from reading. I used to pass judgment on everybody, right? Could nobody do anything
Yeah.
in my eyes. I remember just not liking someone because everybody else liked them. Right? I just want to go against what you, right? I don't like them because you like them, right? Just a straight hater and more,
I'm
right?
just gonna swap out.
Yeah, just but like you said, different discs. Mine was lenses, right? We all have different lenses, right? We see things from different perspectives, you know. And I just chose to let me see the good in the world instead of the bad, right? Because everyone in prison wants a second chance, right? And that's what I was able to convey to people in my situation. I said, you know, education is important when you want to make better decisions.
Yeah.
Right? Limited minded leads to limited decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You limited because you think this is all that we have.
Yeah.
Right? So you know, you join the gang, you die in the gang. Right? This is all we know.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started to think, yeah, this is all we know. But what if we knew more? Then we won't be stuck here.
Yeah.
Right? And I came to prison when I was 22. Right? But I had been getting incarcerated. I had began going to jail at 11 years old.
Yeah.
And I chose to join the gang at 11. So essentially, my brain was still stuck at 11.
Yeah.
This is when I subscribed to this belief.
Yeah.
This ideology of gangs had become my understanding. So if I'm 22 still saying what I pledged to when I was 11, essentially that's where I'm stuck at.
Yeah.
Because that's what I'm believing on. So when I became 30, 31, 29, I actually started to see myself think different.
Mm-hmm.
I started to say, like, wait a minute, man, I don't feel like how I felt when I was 11. For some reason, what I believed in when I was 11, it's changing. And I could have kept lying to myself like it's okay.
And some do.
Some do. Because you think, who joins a gang at 31? Right? You do it when you have limited resources in your mind, right? Or limited a thought process to, I want to choose this.
Yeah.
Right? But when you're 30, you're 40, you don't.
Yeah, you're like, I've got mortgage, I've got
Right, I got something better to do than but then here it is when you're stuck, you don't want to take away from your identity, your reputation for whatever reason. But
your identity, that's the big one.
That's the huge one. Nobody, the reputation and the benefit of it.
Yeah.
Right? I was the man in jail.
Yeah.
Right? And I remember one day I was having a conversation. We had just come off a lockdown for like 9 months. And I was in a cell, just me and my cellie, and we didn't do too much talking. We did a lot of reading, and we would talk about the books that we was reading. But I said, why in here, in this cell, do I have clarity of thought? And then when I get on this yard, I'm back to
Noise.
straight garbage.
Yeah.
And I remember my friend was like, hey, you like this gangster stuff, right? And I'm like, what? He like, you love this, huh? And I'm like, what make you say that? Because we outside and working out.
Yeah.
He see I'm big, he a little skinny, and he
Yeah.
like, man, you like this, huh? I'm like, what, working out? Like, nah, just being a gangster. And I'm like, nah, not really. I mean, I'm in prison with a life sentence. Why would I like this? You like, man, you got a big rep. You'll never get this up. And I'm like, to leave here, I'll let all this go.
Yeah.
And he thought I was joking. I literally told him, I said, man, to get out of here, you like, you would never give up your reputation. Like, who would you be? And in my mind, I'm like, why would I want this?
But in his mind,
it was the world to
he
him.
was, he
But
was
he-
striving for it. He was
he was
like, I
striving.
wanted what you had.
And he was a young man, but I seen error in his thinking. And then I told myself, then why am I holding on to it?
Yeah.
If I'm looking at him like what he's saying is so, lack of better words, dumb.
Yeah.
Why do I want to continue to be this then?
Yeah.
And that's what made me start to say, you know what, if I give it up to get out of here, might as well start while I'm in here. Because this is
Yeah.
what
Walk in the shoes right now. Put the floppy disk in.
This is the funny part, because the floppy disk, the drive, right? Joseph Campbell talks about a lot of what we refer to or label primitive peoples. They had the skill set that many of the things that they would perform, whether in spiritual service or there was even the things that they would do in spiritual service about the community was very fluid.
Yeah.
This thing that we call the personality, the persona, the ego.
The ego.
To them, to many, what we refer to as in some of much of Joseph Campbell's work was very fluid. In modern society, it probably existed in ultra. Even in other cultures where they started moving, or in society as it started moving to modernity, is very fixed. You know, it's society is, this is who I am. It's very, what you say, very rigid. But what you say earlier about when you were in elementary school or in school, you used to put these covers that reminded you of prison.
Yeah.
I mean, you know,
Like prison. It's like, when I saw this, I was like, wait, this looks like a college book, a school book.
So a lot of ego, a lot of persona, a lot of personality is very rigid. It's a person's personal prison.
Oh, I see what you mean.
And so I see it in all, even in spirituality. I'm this, and I do not mingle with other people.
Yeah.
That's their jail. You know what I mean? I'm a police officer.
I was with religion, kind of before I met you. You kind of like brought down the barrier. I thought, I turned away from Jesus. I turned away, and I was rigid to that. I'm spiritual only. And now I'm like, I'm spiritual, but do I have to be so like angry at man?
he make a good point, because that's exactly what I'm not. Like, I respect anyone's walk of life that makes them better.
Yeah.
And for me, because I literally feel like this, if I judge, because you don't believe like I believe,
But now you're trying to put yourself above them.
and I'm taken away from them finding what makes them better.
Yeah.
Right? Because somebody could tell me, hey, what you believe is totally wrong and whatever. Why you want to stump on my happiness?
Yeah.
Right? If you're happy and I'm happy, hey, I can just tell you what makes me happy. If this makes you happy and you're content with that, guess what? Hey, I'm all right with it.
And it's a nicer place to be to drop that, because like before, there's no way if someone said, do you want to come to church with me today? I'd be like, no way. But now you'd be like, do you want to come to church? I'd be like, sure, cool.
You know,
It doesn't bother me in the slightest, because I'm comfortable with who I am.
You gotta be.
In a lot of this work of discovering the ego that we carry, the recovering the mask or the persona that we carry, that we've been identifying ourselves as for so long, is the longer we do it, the stronger it is.
Yeah.
And the more that we lean into that work, the more traumatic I think it is, There's
Yeah.
some
Oh,
people,
I remember when I decided I wasn't going to be Christian. It was scary AF. Like, I still remember, I actually said it when I kind of first met John in his kitchen. I still can remember where I was standing and I said it out loud. I don't believe in God. To say that word was so scary at the time. But I kind of needed to go there to get to where I am today. And now I'm like, I believe in it all.
see, that's the beauty, because the confrontation of the ego
Yeah.
is what eventually, if you're going to come back to Christianity, or if you're going to come back to whatever faith we walked away from, or even one that we started to learn about later, that ego needs confrontation.
Yeah.
And the confrontation of that ego is going to create trauma.
Yeah.
I cried. I cried for weeks and not for months. I felt like I was. We talked about this the last time we had an interview, right? I cried when I stopped gangbanging.
Because it
You know,
was you.
it was the persona. It was the ego.
Yeah.
It wasn't. It was. That's all I believed I was.
Yeah.
But when I started to confront this thing that I said that I was, I started to find so many things I disagreed with now.
And you're like, I'm losing you. But I didn't really like you. But shit, that's all I knew.
I became to some degree depressed
Yeah.
and walking away.
To his point, what I did was I covered my mirror. I didn't look at myself for like, promise you, for like 9 months straight.
That's crazy.
I would ask my Sally, I'm like, hey, I got the sleep on my eyes. She's like, bro, why do you do that? When you go to the mirror, why you cover it up? I'm like, bro, I'm just cool. I didn't want to tell him like, man, I hate what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
Right? I don't appreciate what's looking back at me.
Yeah.
Right? So I'll wash my face. I just stayed away from mirrors for like 9 months. And what I would put over the mirror was words of affirmation, scriptures, and I'll just read that.
That's nice.
Yeah.
So then when you took it down, you was like, oh, I like this person.
Yeah, I did. I actually did. I was okay with looking at, I literally one day just woke up and I was looking, I'm like, man, you're pathetic. Right? And it wasn't,
Stop being scared of it. Yeah.
yeah. Well, before I put it up, I just didn't like what I see. I just looked at it like, who are you?
Yeah.
What do you stand for? You know, and then I'm like, you know what? I don't even want to face this guy because I'm not proud of him.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah, that was a journey.
Yeah, because that's what meditation, I think, to me, that's the ultimate mirror. You know, the sitting.
So
Yeah, because what this symbolic physical mirror is reflecting is a physical mask,
yeah.
right? And all the interpretation to this, what we see physically.
Yeah.
But sitting down, spending time, whether it's prayer or reflection, or attention to what's there, what's coming up, it's giving life or a painting
Yeah.
of a broader, larger mirror.
So you're going to then see more of it.
You know,
Change it.
in the physical, the being physically ill, the more that painting became visible of who I am at that time, I was like, I'm not comfortable with that.
Just reminded me,
What's that?
because I had dyslexia. But
Okay.
my mum and dad would just basically be like, no, you haven't. You're just a bit slow, right? So, so I grew up here. You're just a bit slow, you know? So I kind of was like, I do not have dyslexia. I just can't read.
Yeah.
And then as I got older, I ended up on the board of a dyslexia association. And they was like, well, I want you to come and meet like
I
some of
love
the
that.
people
Yeah.
to help.
Yeah.
So I go into this pub and there was this one guy and I remember he was talking to me. He was like, yeah, I'm like, what was he calling himself? The stupid genius. He was just so like, I'm dyslexic and I love myself. It repulsed me.
Oh.
And if you was a boy and you said I had dyslexia, that I would be like, I might have thought you were God a second ago and now you repulsed me. So
Yeah.
I didn't realize that I didn't want to see, I repulsed myself. And I remember saying to this woman, I've got to go. And I walked out in my car. I sat in my car for probably 30 minutes, feeling physically sick. I had a headache. And then I was like, I can't be on the board anymore
I
because
love this.
I need to deal with the fact that I think I have dyslexia. And I've been hiding it for many years. But yeah, I had a physical reaction. So I was like, oh.
You
Well-
know, and this is what you were talking when bringing up Joseph Campbell earlier on, right? You start finding these things in a different areas. If it doesn't scare you enough,
Yeah.
it's not big enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If me looking at myself brings up that level of discomfort, or looking at someone, am I projecting?
Yeah.
You know, and what was making me so uncomfortable then is me to lean up against, and that to me is the bigger
Picture.
version of that mirror.
Yeah.
It's in here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And again, talking about applying what you're learning, whether it's scripture, whether it's education, and at the end of the day, it's all education, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it is just very interesting.
So interesting. Well, why don't we wrap up on our 2 favorite books?
Mhm.
Or no, either 2 favorite books, or the 2 that helped you the most. I'll go first while you guys can think.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with I'm gonna tie 2 in together as one. Think and Grow Rich,
Okay.
which led me on to Bob Proctor's stuff. I used to read his books and just did the same, switched the meanings. And then Eckhart Tolle,
Mm.
he takes from everywhere, very spiritual, and that helped me apply the
Mm.
how to center myself and the ego, and that was very practical. Eckhart Tolle, which book was it? It's his. It was Here and Now, the Here and Now.
Okay.
That The Power of the Here and Now by Eckhart Tolle. That was them. They're my 2.
I would say the Bible, hands down,
Mm.
my top must go to book. And the second one, I think I really enjoyed Emotional Intelligence.
Who's that by? That's the one that's on the Headspace series.
Yeah,
I'm gonna read that.
yeah. But no, it's a regular book. I forgot the author name. I want to say Daniel. Just Emotional Intelligence.
I'm gonna find out and
Look
put
it
it in
up.
the description.
Yo,
The
Siri.
links will be
No.
down. Yeah, right.
Right. It's a difficult read. You're gonna have to look up some words.
I'm gonna audio it. Don't worry about that.
Hey, it's a great read.
I'll get the name of the research and put it in the notes.
Yeah, I think them
That's
was
my next
two of
read
the
now.
two of the great books that I read.
More about you.
One of them I have it with me, and the other one I don't have it. I don't have it with me. The one I don't have with me is by Randy Pausch, the one that I asked you to look up when you were talking about headway.
Mhm.
Randy Pausch, at the last lecture, he was non-denominational. It's a non-denominational book. I just think he was a wonderful human being. In that book, I read it early on in my incarceration, and I held on to it. I gave it to one of my friends when I was released. In that book, I read and reread that book so many times. He is someone that I think about when I'm experiencing certain things that are tough for me. You know, so that one is a book that I will mention. And the second book that I will mention that stands out to me is I have this. This was a gift to me, but this is a journal. This is for me to write down my thoughts. So this represents to me a blank book. And so this is the second book that I will say is important to me.
Yeah.
Because this a journal is something that I write in about, whether it's something that I'm anything, and more importantly, the things that I come across when I'm sitting with myself, which is the object that I use the most to gather information about,
Yeah.
which is me. And whatever else I'm doing in life, this is to me the thing that holds the most value to me. What comes up, which is me.
Yeah.
And so what I discover when I'm sitting with me, I write it in a journal.
I'm
So
glad you brought the journal up, actually, because we always talk about reading books, but journaling is really important.
it's just another writing is another the thing that I do that teaches me a certain certain things that is different from reading and listening and watching. You know, my relationship with writing has given me so much.
Yeah.
So the two books that I say stand out to me is The Last Lecture by Randy Pausch and A Journal.
I love that. But thank you so much.
Yeah.
And yeah,
I appreciate
I'm
this.
pretty sure we'll be back again. You know what? The next one I want to actually do?
Yeah.
The lingos, different lingos.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, so I'll go through the English lingos,
Yeah.
and you can let me know what the American version of that being, because
Yeah.
the English language is so right, and I say stuff all the time. Everyone's like, "What?"
You don't even hear my lingo. My lingo.
Oh, and then there's our old street lingo, which is completely different and changed now because
Yeah. Oh, it's
we're
different.
all old
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Just a bullet point.
Yeah.
Like,
You know,
it's changed.
things have changed. And I mean, that could go on and off. I was gonna, you know what? Thank you. I appreciate you. You understand it without stepping on
Thanks,
the
guys. It was good.
This is actually really good. I appreciate you.
Oh, I
But,
appreciate
you know,
you. You've been listening to a Dogs Train Home podcast, where every story reminds us that second chances are real.